it. Yeah, that's kind of, the pull-up gaiters. I'm not a big fan of that. They squish your nose. I want to see what Nick Saban's wearing. He seems to have like the right one. It's that gray one, and I saw Kirby Smart wearing it too. So I know those two guys know something that we don't. So I got our operations staff looking into those. But other than that, I got this one right here. I like this. This one's been comfortable. I wear that around. And I got them all strategically placed throughout the facility. So if I happen to just move into one room, I've got one placed there. So I've got them stashed all over the place just in case I happen to leave my office and I forget one. But I'd like to have our staff and everybody kind of look the same on the sideline. We just haven't come to a conclusion of which mask is best at this point. But the whole NFL thing of calling plays and doing that, you don't have to do that anymore. I think it might become more common now. You don't have to cover your mouth when you call plays. So there's some positives there.
Oh, there you go. Positive of 2020. Secondly, last time we talked to you, we talked about how ready you guys are to play a game. And you just mentioned that you're good in areas and that you've shown flashes, but you're searching for a little more consistency. Over the last week or two, have you seen that consistency that gives you a little more comfort come game day?
At certain positions, yes. And some of our guys that have played, I think a guy like Dimitri Washington has shown a lot of consistency and development through camp. A guy like Tyreek Jones has been doing a really nice job and has shown not just flashes, but consistency in his play. Riley Wimpy, Khalil Shakir, Avery Williams, some of those guys that have played for us, you're starting to see those guys and their improvement happen because they all need to get better. I mean, that's one of the things, even our seniors, nobody's at that level that they can't improve. But overall as a team, and I would say this too, part of that consistency answer that I had a while back was we didn't have all the players available like we do right now. So some guys were out, some guys for different reasons, right? So we were never really getting into a good rhythm, and that's, could be the case as the season goes on. But now, your number two guy has to be able to jump in there and play like a number one. Your number three guy has to focus on the sideline and think about being the number one by the end of the week or in the game, unlike he had, before in the past because of COVID and different things that are going to come up. So no, do I feel like that we have that consistency and that rhythm right now? No, I don't. And that's not a knock on our players or coaches. It's just part of what BJ was asking. It's just that inconsistency of all the different things that are in the variables that we have to just go through to get to a game. Now, we haven't played a game yet, so it's hard for me to answer all those things until we actually do play a game and we see what it looks like. But right now, I like where the team's mind's at. I like where our preparation has led us. Now this week leading into Utah State, when you really got that opponent, I'll have a better idea come Friday when we've had 3 really solid days of just prep work on Utah State and how we go out there and practice and get ourselves ready to play. That will give me a better idea of what I think we might do in the game.
Ron Counts from the Statesman, followed by Bob Beeler.
Ron, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you. So obviously, I know all you guys are kind of in the same boat and having not played a live game in a long time. But you look at Jack Sears, having sat out last season, he hasn't played a game in 2+ years, especially as a quarterback. How difficult is it to go from taking mainly practice reps to seeing live game speed?
Yeah, it's different. Practice is different. You don't get hit in practice. And that's the one factor that we don't simulate. We don't have our quarterbacks. We haven't done it in a long time, have our quarterbacks go live. And both Hank, Jack, all of our quarterbacks, they're going to take off and run. There's going to be scrambles. There's going to be quarterback run game and all that. And the one thing you can't simulate is running the ball and then taking that hit. And we saw that last year, right, with our quarterbacks. We had guys go out because guys got hit in the game. Obviously, don't get hit in practice. But just the speed of it, too. You've got guys coming after you from our defense, but they're going to let up. They're not going to hit the quarterback. They're going to stay away from his arm, all those things. Well, the opposing team's not going to do that. And so now you're going to be getting grabbed, and you're going to have to move and stand in the pocket. And it's going to be different. So he's played in games. You have to go back and recall the experience. And I would say the same thing for Hank, right? Hank played last year. He sat out multiple games from an injury. And you've got to go back and recall that speed, all right, what it feels like in the pocket when guys are coming after you, the sounds, all those things that really go along with just playing in the game, because you're not going to get that in the practices. But I think Jack, the one thing Jack's come in here, now he went through a couple different coaches and coordinators at USC, and now he comes in here and has to learn a new offense. That's probably the most challenging thing, I think, at the quarterback position, is just learning a new system. You just get used to one language, and then it's really the same plays but different language, and then a different way to do it. And so it just you gotta shift your process of how you were thinking one way into another. And I know as a freshman coming in, you just learn it the way it is, right? But if you've already got something ingrained in you as a transfer, you got to really just kind of go in there and clean your mind of what you did before, and then really take in, what it is that you're learning now, all the little nuances. That's where I think Jack's getting better now. All the little nuances, all the little details and things that have happened, like with Hank and other guys in our program that he hasn't been a part of, he's starting to see, because now they've kind of happened through practice and different reps and all that. And it's like, oh, okay, now I get it. It starts to make more sense. And when that happens, I think it's much easier to operate the system. So he can play. I'm not worried about him playing. I know he's been in games. Now it's just making sure we know what we're doing and we can go out there and execute it.
And I think one of the more surprising moves on the depth chart was Dimitri Washington at defensive end. Most people outside your building probably thought he was going to be the starting stud. Was that a move you guys have been contemplating for a while, or something that developed late in camp? And what makes you comfortable putting Dimitri at defensive end?
Hey, I'll be honest. The depth chart, I think I looked at it for a minute. I don't think that really applies to anything that we're doing. Dimitri plays stud. He plays end. I think our definition that we made up was stand-up defensive end was the stud, right? Is what we said before. So he's still playing stud. He's playing end. I think a little bit of the edge guys are kind of doing all that stuff somehow, some way. So, that depth chart I don't think it's going to look necessarily like that when we go out there and play. But that's got a place to kind of put guys and all that, because Sam Whitney will be out there in some capacity. And, the one thing about defenses now, they're so much more like personnel based than what they used to be. It used to be like offenses just came out and they had all the personnels and they did all the different things with just wide receivers on the field or all tight ends and all that. And then defenses just stayed like what Gary Patterson used to do in his 4-2-5. And it worked, right? He just kept the same people on the field no matter what. And they were really good. Well, over time, that's changed. And defenses are more personnel based too than what they used to be. So, to be honest, I mean, we might have 3-4 different packages in a series that have different guys in different spots, and that's kind of the thing about a guy like Dimitri now is you can play him at D end, you can play him at a tackle position, you can play him at stud, and so now that gives you a lot of variety, because he's a really smart football player. And he's really good. And he's a guy that, and I've mentioned him before, but he's that guy that keeps taking that next step. And then that provides us the opportunity to kind of move him around. Sam Whitney's been awesome. So how do you get those two guys on the field? I mean, it's a name. I would kind of just say that it's a name, defensive end or stud, whatever. That's just kind of how it's labeled. But those guys are playing multiple positions on the edges.
Bob Beeler, followed by Mike Prater.
Coach, I can't remember a time I've been here where we've opened with a conference game, obviously with basically all conference games this year So it makes it, at least for me, harder to be able to hone in on an opponent because you can't watch a previous game. So how is it different for you guys opening with a conference game instead of a non-conference game and not having a look at their team, say maybe if you played them in week 3?
Well, all right, let's talk a little bit about Utah State. Bodie Reeder is the new offensive coordinator. They have a new defensive coordinator, Stacy Collins and Frank, and the current coordinator, Justin Inna. So he's still on the staff. They got a new special teams coordinator. Stacy Collins was a part of the special teams staff, or was a special teams coordinator, and so he probably has some input on that. And then they got some new guys that have transferred in on their team. And so those are the things that we know. And they've got their quarterback, Jason Shelley, who transferred in from Utah, Andrew Peasley. Expect to see both those guys. Their wide receiver, Jordan Nathan. Defensively, Troy, Justice, Shaq, Metzenheimer, those guys that we know a little bit about. And, there's some new guys. So and you go back and look at, some of the games from the previous season. And then you get all these new guys coming in here. Then you've got all the stuff that everybody's dealing with right now. So, this one's been challenging to try to prepare to see what we think Utah State's going to do. But we're still working on it, and the coaches are trying to do the best they can with the information that we have right now. So it's difficult that way, and opening up with conference game. I mean, right out of the gate, that's what we're trying to go out there and accomplish, is win the conference. So you get a chance to do that game one, and you got to be ready for that. So in Utah State, I know Gary Anderson. I know that he's been around. He's done a great job with the teams he's coached. Been very successful. This is another opportunity here for the 2020 season for us to hopefully be better and execute and do some things that we learned from last year that we've applied through these walkthroughs and practices we've been able to have, and hopefully execute those when we go play.
Coach, what concerns you the most for your team heading into Saturday?
What concerns me the most?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. One thing, if you want to pinpoint, there's a lot of things. I'm not concerned. I don't know if it's concerned is the right word. I think, how we handle the preparation this week, how we handle the whole process leading into each practice. That's really what I'm looking forward to seeing, and how these guys come in and get some extra work and put some time in that they need to in order to be successful when you go play another opponent. I think our guys have shown that through camp, but we haven't played anybody other than ourselves at this point. And so I really want to see on our football team the guys that are going to put in the work to be successful on Saturday. And I think I know who a few of those guys are. Some of our younger players, they're talented. I don't think they really have any clue of how to actually work towards preparing for an opponent, and that's our responsibility to help them do that. And it's the leaders on this team's responsibility to help them do that. But I'm waiting to see that, because we've seen from our veteran players some really good things, and then from some of our younger players, with all the information that you're given as a player on this football team, with playbooks and videos and drawings and walkthroughs and actually practicing it and doing all that, to not know your assignment, there is really no other way to learn. There's no other way to learn. And so if you don't know your assignment, if you don't know what to do, and you've been provided every single bit of information you could possibly need, and you can have access to that at any time, and you don't know what to do, we can't play you, number one. Two, it's disappointing. And so we got some guys on this team right now that don't understand that. And the show up model, like the old high school days where you just show up and go out there and play, like that's over. This is a different level. And it takes a different level of player and preparation to get out there and prepare yourself to go practice properly and then play. So that's the stuff. That's, we didn't have a spring. We didn't have a normal summer. We didn't have all this time. But at the end of the day, there's so many ways to learn the process of how we do things. And that's what maybe I am concerned about that. That's the thing I want to see is how some of those guys actually take the information and prepare themselves to practice, because we've had some bad ones where guys don't know what they're doing and there's no excuse for that. And so if we're going to count on our second string and third string guys, you can't act like a second string and third string guy. You can't act like that. You got to prepare yourself, because if you have to go in because something happens to one of our starters and you're the guy, and we've got 10 guys on the field, I'm hoping when you run on and become the 11th, all right, it doesn't drop the level of our play so much that, guys are not counting on you. And we feel like the Hoosiers out there with only 10 guys playing. So that's the challenge. I want to see guys step up and some of these young players learn how to prepare and get themselves ready to play. Because if we don't, we're going to look foolish if they have to go out there and play for us on Saturday. So that's the challenge. That's what I want to see. And I'm concerned if guys don't do that, then we're going to be in trouble when we go step out there on the field Saturday.
Prater, and then Will Hall. And then if anybody has anything, and I haven't called on you, shoot me a text or a note in the chat, please.
Hey, Bryan. Like everybody else on your team, it's been 300 plus days since Hank Bachmeier played a football game. Where has he gotten better? And what are your expectations for him to play a 8, 9, 10 game schedule and just kind of smooth sail it through the season? Healthy, doing the things that you want him to do?
Yeah, where he's gotten better, his understanding, Hank's really I think where he's gotten better is now it's some of the little details of why plays. Well, why do we run plays, right? Rather than just this is the play we're running and this is how you read it, why do we do it? And starting to get a little bit into that coach mentality of why we do things and how we game plan. And so he can better prepare himself throughout the week by kind of knowing what's coming. And I think that's a progression that Brett and a lot of our quarterbacks, obviously Kellen, guys have taken since they've been here. And so I feel like he's getting better in that area of just the understanding of how we do things, why we do things. For him as a player, to me, he's got to continue to get stronger and faster just as an athlete. I think that goes for every single guy on this football team, but that includes our quarterback. You've got to lift hard. You've got to train. You've got to condition. You've got to have yourself ready. You've got to have that body armor when you go out there and play. And that was something, go back to Zabransky. When I started coaching him, we knew Zabransky would run. So a big part of his preparation was just his training and lifting. And this guy, Zabransky, he was a beast in the weight room, and he was probably the best practice quarterback I've ever been around. He just went hard. And so it showed up now in games when he could run, he would be able to take a hit, all right, and still be able to play. And that's something that quarterbacks, we can slide, we can get out of bounds, we can do all those things. That sounds great, but when you're trying to get the first down or you're in the middle of the field, all right, there's going to be collisions. So you need that physical preparation, you need that conditioning, you need that body armor, all those things to play that position. And you're going to take hits that you don't even see. And that's part of playing quarterback. That's the toughness piece. So, I want to see Hank continue to train hard, and I think he's doing a good job in understanding the preparation. And then just overall taking that knowledge that he learned last year and applying that on the field when he plays. The one thing about a mature quarterback is, you can call 3 bad plays and they may have to make 3 decisions that nobody likes, and they throw it out of bounds and everyone's like, oh, this guy is no good, but that was the right decision. And that's that maturity as a quarterback, that I've got to make the decisions that are best for the team, not just for me. And we'll see. I think he showed that in practice. We'll see what that looks like when we go play. But that growth has to continue. And last year was last year, right? He came on, and obviously Florida State game, that was big. He played. We won every game he played in, and then he was out. That was last year. All right. That was last year. All right. Some really, really good things. But it's 2020 and this is a different season and there's a different focus. There's different challenges that are surrounding this season. But his progression, as far as his development, the stuff that he made mistakes on last year, we need to make new mistakes this year. That needs to be handled, and we need to make new mistakes this year, which he will. But then also bring that level of just the ability to prepare yourself physically, mentally, and all the things you have to do to just be a better football player, and especially at that position, that needs to show up this season.
In terms of roster maintenance, anybody opt out? I know I asked you that before, but it was kind of early in the development. And anybody on the roster that you don't feel like at this point will be available to you throughout the entire season?
No, not at this point. That I feel like is not available. Andy Nwaku, he had surgery on his knee. All right, so he's out for the season. I've told you guys about Taquan Tyler. He had his torn Achilles, so he's out for the season. And those right now are the season-ending injuries. Donovan Clark is coming off an ACL from high school, but he's making progress now. I don't think that he can't play this season. He looks like he could, but obviously with an ACL, you've got to bring him back the right way, because you don't want to re-injure that. So that's where we are right now, and those are the season-ending ones that we have at this point, and I hope we don't have any more of those. And then, the opting piece and all that, not just for, COVID-related issues or anything that way. So everybody is available, and there's going to be little things we know along the way, right? There's going to be little issues that come up or injuries and things. And, if we don't have a guy available to us and he's going to be out for the rest of the season, or if a guy opts out. Now the opting out is different. If you do that, then you're kind of, you're away from the team and doing other things, right? And I feel like this team, that's not the mentality of this team. They want to be a part of what we're doing, and if they can, then they want to be a part of it. So, so far that's kind of what's been happening. It'll be interesting. We haven't played a game yet, so some of these things, they could change, and we've got to be prepared for that too. And we've talked about it, but until we actually get into that playing portion of the season, it'll be interesting to see when that happens.
We got a couple from Will Hall, and then we'll take one each from Tom Scott and Corinne McGrath, and then that's probably all the time we're going to have, guys.
Hey, Harsin, this wild, crazy, unique 2020, just simply how grateful are you to be able to have the chance to go play a game Saturday?
Yes, very much so. Yesterday, Carla was talking about it, just waking up every day with a grateful heart, right? And we had our seniors speak. We do this at the end of our camps, and this, I don't know if I'd call this a camp necessarily. Usually we hit Table Rock. We didn't feel like that was the best thing to do at this time. And I wish we could have been up there, because that's kind of how we finished. But we had our seniors talk, and those guys were phenomenal. I will say this, our group of seniors, now we'll see when we play. I think they're pretty good football players, and they've done some good things here. They're all very motivated to want to go out there and play well this year. But for anybody listening now, that group of seniors, you better find out who they are, because we got the right people. They're fantastic people, and the messages that they left with our team last night were outstanding. So Carla talked about, among other things, but just every day waking up with a grateful heart. So, yeah, I mean, and not taking things for granted. We have a lot of stuff here, and our operations staff, Joel Schneider, Brad Larondo, those guys have been phenomenal. They've taken care of these players with meals and different things and all that to get ourselves ready. Jeff Pittman and the strength staff have been phenomenal. Our coaches, just everything they've had to shift from Zoom to live to Zoom and all sorts of things. So we've got really fantastic people here. And so we want to go out there and play. We're excited about that. We're all competitive and we want to be on the field and do what we love to do. But I think that attitude of gratitude, which came up again last night, and we've said that's been a part of this program for a while. It's just exciting because you have something taken away. And I'll be honest with you, in March when we stopped spring ball, I thought, maybe a month. And then it was 2 months. And then we're into summer. And then we're getting back in June and we're shut down and all these other things happen. And you're like, okay, this is a lot different than I initially anticipated. And then here you go, you're in it, right? And we get to go play football. There's a lot of real things happening around the country. We're grateful that we get to be together as a football team and deal with those things together, which not everybody gets that opportunity to do that. And so we have guys from all over the place that are in that locker room and with each other and support each other. And we have a common goal, right? That's football, and that's the goals that we have. But just to be in this environment and to be able to do what we're doing right now and to have the people that are here that take care of us and help us and provide the opportunity for us, that they go unnoticed a lot of times, but not around here. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm fired up. You know, I'm nervous. I've got a lot of energy going into today. It's just it feels different. It's exciting. It's fun to be back into that game mode and to sit in there and talk with the staffs about what our plans are and how we're going to do it and what we're going to have to do when the game actually starts and the environment's completely different. That's the challenge right now, and it's fun. It's fun right now at this point. But yeah, I'm very grateful that we get a chance to do what we're doing, and I'm glad that we changed our decision that was made initially to postpone to get to where we are right now so we can go compete. And it's, you know, just kind of getting back and doing some things that you love to do. How that changes your outlook on so many things. And, you know, I know that there's things that we have to do every single day to be able to do this. However, being on that practice field when I'm out there, that's the best feeling of my entire day. It being with those guys on the practice field. And I know on Saturday for 4 hours, that's going to be the best thing that entire week that happens to all of us. And I hope we do well, but I'm gonna run out there on the blue, and I'm gonna be excited to be with those guys and watch them go out there and just cut it loose. And I hope we perform well and we're able to do it again the next week.
Last one for me is, what do you like most about the leadership on this year's roster?
You guys saw the captains, so Riley Wimpy, Khalil Shakir, and Avery Williams. And, you know, you kind of look at that group of guys. Now, those aren't the only leaders on this team. Those are the captains that were voted. But Riley Wimpy, a little bit older player, returned off a mission. Avery Williams, who walked on here. Khalil Shakir played as a true freshman. I mean, look at those guys. And not only are they very good football players, but the type of people that they are and the type of leaders that they are, they're always bringing people with them. That's the one thing. Riley Wimpy's not going to just go train by himself and not try to bring somebody with him. Now, if somebody doesn't want to go with him, it's not because he didn't ask. Avery Williams is going to be out there and try to help everybody he can to be the best football players they can be, because that's the type of leader that he is. Khalil Shakir is going to give you 100% every single rep, every single time, in every single practice, and that will never change. And so, you know, those guys are great examples of what leadership is, in my opinion. And I think our successful teams have come from the leadership that we've had. And those three guys getting voted as captain tells me a lot that our team understands what leadership is, because they voted the right guys. And then we've got other guys, like I've mentioned before, that have been here. Evan Tyler, Dante Harrington, guys like that. They're not captains, but they're leaders. And they do things for this program, and they put themselves out there in a way that It's not always football related in a way that helps our team so that we can continue to keep improving. So, yeah, I like the leadership of this team. I like the maturity of this team. And I like the fact that we don't have many guys on this team that refuse to be led. Sometimes you have that. Sometimes you just got guys that it doesn't matter what you say. I mean, you say one thing, they'll just say another just to say it. And they're just distractions. And I think our leadership has done a pretty good job of squashing all that and just saying, this is how we do it. And if you don't want to be a part of it, then don't be here. And that's a reality. And it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It's just, this is how we do it. And we're not going to lower our standards to whatever it is you want to do. Like, this is the standard. Hopefully you're a guy that comes in here and raises the standard for things that we're doing and shows us even a better way of how to do it, like Avery's done on special teams. Our special teams is where it's at because Avery Williams is a part of that. And he comes in and he gives us ideas on what we should be doing or reminders of what we shouldn't be doing. You'd be amazed how many times Avery's helped me out in a practice or off of film and saying, we probably shouldn't do that. And you go back and go, okay, the guy's paying attention to what we're doing or what we missed. That's leadership. And right now, that's been really good. We wouldn't be in this position right now with all of our guys available to go out there and compete if we didn't have great leadership and these guys were doing things not just here at the facility, but away from the facility the right way too.
All right, wrapping up, one each from Tom Scott and Corinne McGrath.
You're on mute, Scott. Tom.
Okay, sorry about that,
All right.
Brian. Could you address two players who are not on the depth chart, Chase Cord and Johnny Messina, and one who is, Jonah Dalmas, the true freshman kicker out of Rocky?
Yeah. Who's not on there? Johnny Messina?
Yeah, Johnny Messina and Chase.
Yeah. No, Johnny's here. Johnny has been competing, and we'll kind of see how this week goes. I thought Johnny's had probably his 3 better practices. But between he and Jonah and Joel Velasquez, those guys have kind of been the guys getting the reps and all that. So we'll see. Jonah's come in here. I thought he's done a really nice job. He kicks the ball very well. He's got a strong leg. He's athletic, and that's a positive too. He doesn't just come in and do the workouts. He's actually one of our better guys in the movement piece and all that. So he's a player, in my opinion. A little bit like, I think, Nick Kaliakai. Nick was a guy that was like a slot receiver, and I might have played tailback a little bit. Jonah did some of that for his team. He's pretty versatile, but he's been kicking the ball really well, and he's got a strong leg, and he's just a freshman. So we'll kind of see how that all plays out. But he's earned himself a position to be on the depth chart, I suppose. Cord, I told you guys, Chase is still working through just healing up, and even later in the year, I mean, that's kind of how Chase came into last season too, right? Just coming off the ACL, and then they're just getting back, and with his shoulder and all that, it takes some time, and trying to kind of figure out his situation a little bit on just getting him back and healthy is his story at this point right now, and what that means moving forward. But he's around, he's helping. Chase is here, and he's a part of our program. Does a great job with those quarterbacks, and it's just a matter of the health piece. and making sure that he's ready to go. And you asked me who's the other one?
He has to touch on Jonah Dalmas, but I think you hit.
Yeah,
on.
I think I touched on Jonah. Good.
All right, last one, Corinne McGrath.
Hey, Coach. Corinne McGrath from KPVI. I know that you commended a lot of your seniors and talked about their leadership skills, and a lot of the guys last week talked about how they're stepping up as a leader on the team this year. Since you recruited these guys and saw them come in as freshmen, what does it mean to see them grow so much as both players and men?
Well, one thing, those guys that are seniors that have been here the whole entire time, now they need to finish. That's one of the things that I think is important. We talk about family, we talk about team, and team, you have a responsibility. You've got to do your job and the things that you're asked to do. Family, you're always loved. All right. And really, to me, in order to be a part of this family, you got to be here through your entire career as a football player, and you have to graduate. That's becoming an alum, right? You're a part of the Bronco family when you do that. And what's great about this group here, we've got guys that have already graduated. We've got guys that have been here 4 and 5 years. We got guys like Brock Miller that just got here, but a lot like Montel Cozart, you wish Brock Miller was here the entire time. And, you know, you see these guys develop and kind of go through everything they go through to get to where they are. And like last night, when you get a chance to hear the message from those seniors, it means a lot to them. It means a lot. And their playing career as a college football player is coming to an end. So they obviously all want to go out. And I think every senior in America would want to go out on top, right? Win every single game and do all that. But I think our guys understand what it takes to do that, and not just wanting it, but also wanting what it takes to actually do that. And that's why I think when these guys do get done playing, like these guys understand what it takes to be successful in not just football, but they have a process. They know the work. They know that you're going to have to go above and beyond. So to me, that's the special part about being around guys for so long, is just seeing all the things that they've gone through to get to where they are. And you know that when they leave here, everybody talks about the NFL. That's not always the case. And the NFL will only last a short amount of time for a lot of guys. So they're always going to be competitors. What are they going to do when the NFL is done, all right, or their football career is done? And that's the fun part to me, is just seeing that. You know, I was talking to you guys remember Skylar Siebold. I was talking with him the other day. He's got a little baby boy, and he's rocking and rolling. You know, he's got things going on in life. And I've talked to some other guys, Jay Ajayi, and talking with Alexander Madison and some other people, you know, that are doing different things that have left this program. And that's all part of what I think football is able to help all of us develop, all right, are those skills. And yes, we want to win and all those things, and that's important. That'll never change. But I think what we develop along the way and who we become is what we get a chance to see. So our seniors right now, going through COVID and going through all these things to bring this team together and be where we are at this point, no other seniors ever had to do that. They've never had to go through what this group has gone through. Now, this group will also, and this entire team will go through something no other team we've had has ever had to go through. A shortened season, no fans, family, any of that stuff. When they go out there and play, it's going to be completely different. And I hope they all kind of understand that, and they all know that this is not going to last forever. And I hope they're trying to take advantage, not advantage, but I hope they're seizing the moment and what they have in front of them, because those guys are able to lead through this. I mean, you're going to be able to lead through anything. And corny or not, I mean, that's how I feel about all of our players here. When they leave here, I hope every single one of them is in a position of leadership, and they're going to be guys that are difference makers in their communities and whatever it is they do. That's that is satisfying as much as any championship or season where we go out there and play in big bowl games and do all that, to see guys in those type of positions. So they're going to play this year and they're going to do extremely well, I hope. And I believe that. And then the best is yet to come when they leave our program, in my opinion, for these guys, because of who they are and just where their development is going at this point.
All right, guys. Appreciate you taking the time. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
And
Coach.
we'll have this all dialed up next week. If you need this recording, please shoot me an email. I will send it your way here in a little while.
Thanks, guys.
Brian.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Coach.